Hi guys, Lindsay here. So this week has been kind of a bit of a plot twist. So I was actually able to find a farmhand. It was sort of like this weird twist of fate thing, and it just sort of happened and poofed into existence. We have a really good arrangement going on. So it's been very, very helpful for me, but it's been kind of confusing. It's sort of muddied the waters in terms of having clarity on what to do next on the path moving forward. So a lot of times, like for us, it'll seem like the journey will be pointing us in a very clear, concise direction. And then once we start making steps towards that place or that direction, then it just sort of, everything just sort of fumbles and falls apart and just crumbles to bits and pieces. So it's like we are flying by the seat of our pants constantly. But so a couple weeks ago, I started looking at the property and seeing how I would have laid it out differently and stuff, and just all this stuff of like, oh, well, I can see it now. I can see the vision now of where everything should go, how everything should be, how the pasture should be. But it's been like, oh my God, in order to make this work, it's going to be fencing on top of fencing on top of fencing that's going to need redone, rechanged, and all of this stuff. And if anybody knows me, you know I hate doing fencing. It is brutal on my shoulders to use the T-post driver. Still have a little bit of PTSD from when the accident happened and I busted my forehead wide open and got 5 staples. Thank God for thick hair, otherwise you'd see it. But so fencing is my least favorite job, and it is extremely demanding on my body physically. Like, I don't mind putting the little clippy dips on. It is the whole lugging this whole big roll that weighs more than me up the hill, and just, it's a nightmare and stuff. So I've had the vision for quite some time now, for several weeks now, and stuff. And like some of the stuff I'd actually talked about running the goats up in the woods like during the springtime. I think also last winter I had talked about wanting to do this project, wanting to do this, but it never came to fruition because I was like, yeah, I got knee injury. Like, I can't do this. Like, I don't have help, and I'm also injured. There's no way to do this. So now it's like, okay, I have help. We have the financial ability to buy the amount of fencing that we need. And to make it so it's a lot easier. I'm also physically in a lot better shape than I was in the spring because the knee is, fairly healed. Like, I still have that plica syndrome thing, so as long as I don't do any of the things that aggravate that, then I'm somewhat okay-ish. But so it's been a really weird debacle. So I think what I'm going to do, because we don't know the timeline of when we'll be moving, when a place will be available. If for some reason that's not even on the plate for us, it could just be that we're just being strung along, guided along, down this weird path to have a bunch of weird stuff happen. I don't know. Life works weird in really weird ways, especially like the way that my life is just, it's been like plot twist, plot twist, plot twist for all eternity. But so I think what I'm going to actually do is actually start creating the vision in my head for this land, and just sort of fully experimenting. Because last year, not this past garden season, but the year before, so 24, I started really experimenting with stuff. I did what I called the experimental garden. I started really piddling around and playing around with different modalities of homesteading, different things of how I wanted to try things and tweak things, and just started really flexing and stuff. A lot of off-camera stuff of just pure experimentation to see what will work for the next place, or at this place, or at any place, and what will fail miserably. I gotta tell the puppies to be quiet. Hold on. All right, I'm back. So I think that moving forward, what I ultimately am going to do with this property while we still have it, and while everything is still really super up in the air, I think I'm going to just do one more final rung of experimentation of just going ham with it. Being like, you know what? I had this idea, so I'm just going to do it. We're just going to do it. We're going to try it. We're going to see. We're going to move everything around. Because when we got this place, we did not know it had the water issues that it does of getting so wet and stuff seasonally. And now that we do know, we know that we had originally put a lot of stuff in really terrible locations, which we have since moved some of it. But now I have the availability to move everything. So it does seem kind of weird to me to being like, all right, originally we were just sort of packing everything up and leaving everything set and waiting for the next place. And now I'm like, you know what? While we're sitting here, let's learn some more. Let's grow some more. Because no matter what, the time is going to pass, whether we stay or whether we go and stuff. But it's like, I still can learn more because every day I try to learn something new. Like I am one of those people that like absolutely loves learning and just has such a thirst for knowledge and experience and hands-on like practicality of, oh, I did this once and then this happened and stuff. Like that's just something I love. So this is going to be, I think, a fun period, a fun few weeks of hard work, of, you know, just sort of twisting and rearranging and being malleable and stuff. So it's just gonna, it might be fun. It might be something that totally blows up in my face. I don't know. You know, no matter what, the farmhand's gonna get paid, gonna get rewarded and stuff. So hopefully the farmhand isn't gonna be too ticked off when I'm like, yo, let's put all these T-posts in up here, and then potentially in a couple months, a couple years, I don't know, be like, hey, let's rip these out and move them to someplace else and stuff. You know, luckily everything that I'm buying, whether we stay or go, is still fencing stuff that we would have to have either here or when we expand it. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I apologize. I hit the desk. Weird stuff happens when you talk to yourself out loud. But so I feel confident in doing this actually, because no matter what, we have to buy more T-posts for whether we're going to expand here or whether we're going to be moving somewhere else, because we would like to have more pasture space for the goats, more space in general for the goats. So that means no matter what, we have to buy more fencing. We have to buy more T-posts. We have to do all these things. So if we buy it now, then no matter what, like we already have it. So if something happens where inflation raises prices or, you know, supply shortages or whatever happens in the future, we already have the materials that we need. So it's kind of one of those things of like, what else am I going to do? I'm sitting in this waiting room. I'm just waiting for more clarity, waiting for knowledge, waiting for some sort of sign, some sort of knowing of, are we here that in a way that's protecting us from something, or are we about to be like, I don't know. But so I did hear back actually today from the county about the septic stuff. Everything has been approved. Everything is green light, go, go, go. So they said that the contractor should actually be able to start work like as soon as they have availability, that everything in terms of the county, in terms of the grant, in terms of the everything on the paper side of things is all done for the septic. It's just now up to the guy that won the bid to come and start digging and start doing the project. So he did tell us that whenever he was here to look at the land and stuff, that I think he said it was only going to be like the amount of yard that we're going to be losing for the septic. I want to say that it's like a 8-foot by 8-foot square or something like that. Like we have a Chevy Sonic and it's going to be a smaller area than the Sonic takes up. And that's a very small car. And so I'm kind of like, okay, like part of what propelled us to wanting to run away was that there was no garden space anymore. Now my old garden that I put all those years of effort and all that manure into and all that work into, now can be put right back there. Everything that was logically like, we have to go because of blank, 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 now has been removed of, oh, it's literally up to us at this point of what do we want to do? Do we want to take this other difficult path that might lead to more happiness? Or do we want to find contentment and happiness on an easier path? So it's kind of, it's one of those things where you're like, I don't know. Like the negatives are still the negatives and the positive. It's just weird. I'm just in a rambly sort of a mood. I think because of it being so dark and so dreary, and I spent a lot of time in the car today, and I don't know. But so I'm going to leave that here because I'm going to actually try to do some filming and stuff to keep you guys in the loop as we're changing things and as it's all like morphing and stuff. Because since I have help, we can really, me and the friend can actually like really tag team a lot of stuff, because I can be like, hey, I'll set all these T-posts up. I'm going to go undo these clips over here to move this other thing, and you do this and I do this. So it's really going to be interesting because I'm actually able to I've essentially cut myself into two, and you know, I did it again. Gotta be more spatially aware. My God. But so I feel like I've been able to essentially plunk myself into two, sort of divide and conquer with my own energy, with my own self, to be able to get maximum amount of stuff done in a short amount of time. So, which would have been fantastic if we had a property already that we were like, all right, farmhand, come help us move everything. But, you know, it just hasn't happened. So it's just one of those things of we're going to essentially get everything made as easy as possible before wintertime on this homestead. And then if we're still here in the spring, it's going to be amazing. If we're not, well, I've learned a whole lot. The goats have been happier, they've been healthier. You know, it's I don't see anything but positives and benefits to taking this particular weird detour, sidetrack, windy path part. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do that, and yeah, I'll try my best to bring you guys along. But it's just sort of one of those things of, when I'm getting stuff done, I don't want to be sidetracked by filming. I don't want to stop to have a conversation, because then it disrupts the flow and I forget what I'm doing. And you guys have watched enough videos of mine to know that I'm like, what was that? Yeah, it happens. So anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.